Good morning. Good morning. Make sure y'all say it back. You know what I'm saying? I feel like every morning now, I gotta tell y'all gotta say good morning back, and it's getting crazy because I know y'all mamas raised y'all better than that. I know y'all mamas raised y'all better than that. Okay, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm living life. The weather is not so great today, and it's supposed to rain in New York for the rest of the week, so we hate that. But you know what I'm saying? But we blessed. God is good. And I'm gonna stop. I'm working on not complaining as much because there's so much in the world to be thankful for, even when the world is a disaster. Okay? So I am blessed and highly favored and thanking God for another day. I got on my knees and prayed today just to thank God for another day of life. Amen. Amen. So we got a few things to cover today. And I think the thing that is most important is the Diddy trial. I'm glad that y'all are already ready to have this conversation. So, yesterday was the first actual day of court. I feel naked without my watch on. Yesterday was the first actual day of court. Diddy did take this. He didn't take the stand, but they started to talk to witnesses yesterday. Um, and they did their opening statements. So the opening statements were kind of chaotic. The prosecution team basically talked about the fact that Diddy is an angry person who is violent and has kidnapped people. They talked about what we will hear, what I'll talk about in a second, about uh, having a male escort do certain things to Cassie. They talked about the fact that he is a jealous person who is angry and violent and has done really harmful things, and how they were going to paint that picture. And then the defense team took the route of, and I heard that Diddy's team did a good job doing this. Not that I expect anything less from Diddy's team, but they took the route of basically saying that Diddy is all of those things. Like, yes, he's angry. Yes, he's jealous. Yes, he's been violent. Yes, he uses drugs, all the things. But they're saying that none of those things equals the crimes that he's being charged for. So, if y'all don't know, he's actually being charged for sex trafficking and racketeering. They're saying that and the thing is that they're not saying that he's innocent of domestic violence. They're not saying that he hasn't hurt women. They're not saying that he's not jealous and angry. They're quite literally saying he's all of those things, but that doesn't make him guilty of the crimes that he's being accused of. So that's that. Like, they, whatever. Also, all of his kids were there. So they had the twin daughters. He had all of his sons. His mom was there. Nisa, his baby mother, was there. And from what I understand, the prosecution team talked about how his jealous rage started with Kim, which I guess was relevant because Kim's kids were sitting in the courtroom while this was all happening the day after Mother's Day. But apparently they wanted all of his kids in the courtroom because they wanted to humanize him or make it seem like he was more human and that people loved him. Now, to me, I think it's crazy to have those little girls in our courtroom listening to these kind of testimonies, because the testimonies were crazy. It was a lot. And honestly, as an adult who does not have any connection to this, it was hard for me to listen to people play back what they heard happen in the courtroom. Now, what I will say is, so here's I told y'all this before. I told y'all this before, and I'm going to continue to say it. I think that they're going for a mistrial. I think that they're going to try to throw this trial. They're going to come up with some sort of reason why the trial, and honestly, if y'all understand court, the defense team is basically going to try to find every loophole in the world to say that whatever testimonies are being shared, they got to find reasonable doubt. Once they can prove that there's even a little hole in the story, it makes it hard for the jury to say, "Oh, yes, you're guilty of this." And we'll talk more about that in a moment of how we got here. So the two people that testified yesterday, One was the male escort who was allegedly hired by Cassie and Diddy. And the second one was a current LAPD officer who used to be the head of security at the hotel for which we saw the video footage. So I'll do the LAPD first because the other one is more graphic. So the former head of security, his testimony was that he got called to the room by Cassie because of an alleged, what he called an argument or disagreement. He saw Cassie with a purple eye, he said, and she looked like she was fearful. She was trying to get away. She said she wanted to leave. Diddy said, "You're not allowed to leave." He said, "You cannot leave." After Diddy said, "You can't leave," or the security is saying that at first he told them they needed to go back in the room, which to me is crazy. Because if somebody called you for help and said, "I want to leave, I just want my phone and stuff and I want to leave," what would make you tell them to go back in the room? When I heard that and read it, I thought that was crazy to me because she called you to the room. So whether or not, the other thing that I struggle with is that he's saying that he asked her, the head of security is saying that he asked Cassie if she wanted to call the police. She said no. So for me, if somebody calls you for that level of help, security is not enough. I'm automatically going to call the police because I believe that something somebody's obviously in danger, that they needed to call for help to get away from somebody in the hotel. You don't really need permission from the person to call the police. If you call the police and the police get there and the person doesn't want to press charges or doesn't want to pursue anything, that's on them. But in my mind, I'm like, why didn't you call the police immediately? He said he got up there and he knew who Diddy was, but he didn't know who Cassie was. So he said that he basically was like, oh yeah, he said he saw some guy, like a really big guy sitting in the room in all black, and he thought it was weird. And that Diddy then, he told Diddy that he had to pay for all the damages that he had caused in the room. And Diddy said, okay, but then he said he saw him in a jealous rage. Like he looked devilish, like he was like in a crazy rage and was not in his right mind. And then he says that Diddy offered him a lot of money in a bag and some cash in a bag, I guess to make it disappear or to make this go away because he obviously didn't want it to get out. And he said that he turned down the bribe. Now, what's weird to me is that you turned down the bribe, but you didn't help Cassie. So like you're trying to make yourself seem like this stand-up guy, but you turned down the bribe and didn't help the person who was being harmed. The other thing is that they found out that the security guard took 2 recordings of the video footage from the hotel. He sent one to his wife and then the other one he kept. And that he was walking around telling everybody that it was Diddy and he couldn't believe what he saw because it was Diddy, which is why it's like, and to me personally, that would make me think that the reason that you didn't call the police is because you were trying to protect Diddy. Because why else wouldn't you call the police? If you claim you saw somebody with a purple eye, she's telling you she wants to get away, Diddy is saying she's not allowed to go anywhere, what would make you not call the police? I wouldn't have even asked. I would have called the police on the way upstairs if I'm being honest. But he said that he didn't call the police because Cassie asked him not to and that she left with somebody else, some other guy, and that really pissed Diddy off. Allegedly. So this is what he said. So then they cross-examined and the defense team basically asked him why he didn't document a lot of the important details in the incident report. Apparently he didn't document that Cassie had a purple eye. Apparently he didn't document that Cassie said don't call the police. Apparently he didn't accurately document that there was another man in the room. So basically the defense team was basically saying he's not a reliable source, he can't be trusted, because again, their job is to create reasonable doubt. If there's any holes in a story or if a witness is not strong, their job is to basically tell us, or to get us to see that they can't be trusted, so they don't have enough evidence for us to be convinced of what they're saying. So at this point, Diddy's this whole trial is going to be Diddy's defense team trying to create reasonable doubt to say that the things that the witnesses are saying and the people who are testifying, that they're not fully accurate, and they're going to do the same to Cassie. So Cassie just showed up to court today, a few minutes ago. She's very pregnant, and I believe that their goal in this is to prove, this is what they said from the start. They want to prove that Cassie and Diddy had a mutually abusive relationship and that they were swingers. And so anything that they ask Cassie, they're going to make it seem like this was an agreed upon situation. Now, the problem that I have with that, and y'all know I will continue to have, is that the power dynamic shifts when you have a grown man who is in his 30s dating a child. So you're talking about someone, if you think about, if we think about where we were when we were 17, 18, 19, in comparison to your 30-year-old self, you are more likely to be controlled by someone at that age when you're that young. You're more likely to go with things that people are telling you to go with when you're that age and you're that young. Your brain is not fully developed. You're experimenting with drugs and things like that, but you're not able to fully form, your brain is not fully formed. So the things you're doing, you're taking a lot of risk. People under the age of 25 are known to be risk takers and do things because their brain is not fully developed. So if you have a 30-year-old who is absolutely rich and your career is in their hands, and yes, you want to leave, yes, you want to get away, and that's just the idea that your career is in his hands and there's that age gap, then you need to put into play that this is a man who could pay anybody to make anything go away, and you're watching him do it. The level of power that he has, people have gotten on the, if you watched any of the documentaries, people have talked about the fact that they tried to escape from Diddy and Diddy had the police paid off. They couldn't even get help from the police because he had that much power. They're talking about judges, attorneys. They're talking about Donald Trump. They're talking about mayors. Like when Diddy got into politicians, like it was that deep. His charges are sex trafficking and racketeering. So for me, it's like we also have to take into account what the power dynamic is, not just a reasonable doubt, because they're going to try to make it seem like she willingly participated, but someone at that age is not willingly participating in anything, especially, and what's sad is that because we live in a male-dominated society, we don't want to talk about coercion in this case, and how this is like, it starts off this way usually when abuse happens, starts off as something small, it starts off as a regular relationship, and then people in incremental like ways start to control people and make their life challenging or hard or whatever it is. So I just think that I feel like that's not being accounted for, and I think that's not great. Anyway, so then the second person who took the stand was a male escort. And from what they're saying, it got a little tricky with the male escort. So basically the male escort said that he was a dancer at a club, and that his boss came to him and said that this lady and her husband were looking to pay somebody to do some extra work on the side. Yeah, listen, I'm doing my best to give y'all the best details that I could get. I had to do so much research and listening to so many people in the courtroom to get the most accurate depiction. So basically, they hired somebody together, and the boss told the young man that he could go there and do this thing because they want to pay him to do this thing. So he agreed to it, and he said that the boss told him it was going to be like $200. Like, you do this little extra for $200, nothing serious, blah, blah. He said when he got there, Cassie offered him $4,000 and was like, oh, my husband's going to watch. He's not into, like, he doesn't want to participate. He just wants to watch. He wants us to rub baby oil on each other. And like, however else far you want it to go if you feel comfortable, is what he's saying happened. So allegedly, Cassie was the one that introduced him to it. And then, this is not funny. It's not funny, but like, it is. They're saying that Diddy, at first, he didn't know it was Diddy because Diddy was sitting over in a corner in a chair with the bandana covering his face. I don't know if he was trying to play cops and robbers. I don't know. But he said that initially he didn't, like, couldn't see him, but when he heard his voice, he knew it was Diddy. So Diddy was in the corner with a bit. It's not funny, but it's like, this is like some crazy, weird, freaky. And I don't kink shame. Like, to each his own. If that's what you like, I love that for you. But I just think, I don't know. is giving cops and robbers. And he said the man did say that they used to role play. The male escort used to say that said that they used to role play, and that it was really bad. So they stopped role playing because they couldn't do it good. So and Diddy was watching and calling the shots. Now I still can't understand this fascination with the baby oil. I'm not gonna hold you. It hasn't really. I don't understand it, but the baby oil was consistent. He said in all their encounters. I don't know. I don't know if Diddy, if the baby oil had a smell that made Diddy had like. I don't know. I don't know. I just know that the Diddy oil, the Diddy oil. Y'all got me calling it the Diddy oil. The baby oil is consistent across the stories. So I don't know if it's like a childhood memory, and I don't know. I don't know if it's a childhood memory and the smell unlocks something for him. I don't know if baby oil smell just turns him on. I think it's really creepy because baby oil smells like babies to me. And it wasn't just baby oil because it was baby oil and lubricant that was always present. So it's like, why did you need the baby oil? And that's also just so oily. I don't know if y'all. I'm losing sight of the conversation, but that just feels so oily to me. So I just don't understand what his obsession was. They did say that allegedly it had been laced. That wasn't in the trial, but they were saying that before. But anyway, sorry, I got on a tangent about the baby oil because the minute that this whole thing started, it was about baby oil. And I just think it's insane that the baby oil is still coming up. It is consistent. At this point, the baby oil need to be on trial. The baby oil need to get on the stand and tell us about what be going on, okay? Anyway, so the baby oil was consistent. He said that they had them doing things, and that one of the things that he was told to do was to urinate on Cassie, allegedly. The problem is that the prosecution in their opening statement said that Cassie was urinated on against her will. But the male escort is saying that Cassie asked for that. It was not Diddy, that Cassie was the one that asked for it. And so now, obviously, he hasn't been interviewed by the defense team yet. That's today. But obviously, that's going to play a role in the issue because this goes back to reasonable doubt. They're trying to make it seem, they want it to seem like that their stories are not consistent and that she participated in this willingly. And it's unfortunate because even if you know, she doesn't have a choice. Like, she could sit up there and tell you, like, I did these things, but I didn't have a choice. It wasn't like I was given an option. I was told I needed to do these things. I was scared for my life. But they're going to try to paint it as otherwise. And now that he said that, it's kind of like, okay, it seems like she was a willing participant and they just into some freaky stuff. Now, we obviously know that that's not true, but that's what they're going for here. Now, what I will say is that he said, the male escort said that the reason that he discontinued with them is because one time he went to Cassie's house and Diddy was there and he witnessed Diddy hurting her so bad, like brutalized. He came out the room, was upset, and then started to do what he did to Cassie in that hotel. And he said that he couldn't perform because he was so uncomfortable with what was happening. I've been following, so for those of you, a lot of my information has been coming from TMZ. It's been coming from other reporters who are in the courtroom. So I just literally go online and look up like official reporters and look up what TMZ is saying and try to connect the dots. Because they're not able to, the public can't watch the trial. You have to be in the courtroom. So essentially, they're saying that they're trying to say that she was a willing participant, but he did see her hurt Cassie really bad in the home, and that's why he kind of discontinued because he couldn't perform after that. Now, I also just want to say that, yeah, he offered her help is what they're saying. The problem is that when you're offering someone help and they don't see a way out, which I'm thinking Cassie's going to talk about when she gets on the stand, the problem is that when you're so scared that you don't see a way out, people could offer you help. I'm sure that she's accepted help in the past and it's come back to bite her. I'm sure that she's tried to escape before. and somebody's offered her help and they've been hurt. You seen what happened to Kid Cudi's car. You know what I'm saying? How much can one take? What do you, at a point, especially when it's domestic and it's controlling and there's mind games, and someone is that rich and they're telling you, I control everything, you can't go anywhere. People are not able to escape poor, broke, ashy men in domestic violence situations. Okay? I'm talking like men that ain't got no money, and there's women who are stuck in those situations. So just imagine being in a situation like the one she was in. It's almost impossible for you to do anything or to get any help, and you're scared to ask for help because you don't want somebody else to be hurt or for you to be hurt in the process. And they said that one time in a jealous rage, that Cassie was with another guy that she was dealing with, and she couldn't find him. He couldn't find her, and he grabbed his weapon and a few of his goons and went looking for her and couldn't find her, and was in a rage where he was doing a lot of crazy things. So that, like, context matters. And so yeah, the worker said, the escort, male escort, said that he eventually discontinued with them. He did ask her if she wanted help. Now, I also want to say that the Wale situation. So something important. Somebody mentioned Wale and dangling over the balcony, which, like, I'm sorry, y'all, it's not funny. The imagery of all of this, like how crazy it is, it makes me laugh because Wale is so little, and it's like, the imagery is crazy. Okay, people dangling. This is like, it feels like I'm watching a like action movie, some sort of crime movie. Because what? But ironically enough, Wale did an interview yesterday on a radio where he said that he was not hung over the fence and that these allegations were preposterous. He said that did not happen and that what is being alleged is untrue. And so, whatever. I don't know. But I will let me play. I think I have the audio from the interview yesterday. Let me see if I can find it so y'all can hear it. But Wale said that he was not hanging over a balcony yesterday and that was untrue and that people were making up rumors and lies. And he, I guess, said that never happened. And from what they said, he seemed irritated by the fact that people kept mentioning him being dangled over a balcony. And if it is not true, I could understand why you would be irritated. But I also understand why you would not want that to be true. Like, even if it were true that you didn't say it. I can't find the audio right now, but if I find the audio, I'll play it for y'all. But he basically came out and told the world yesterday that he was not actually hanging from a balcony in an interview that he did. And so he wants that to stop. He wants that to be deaded. Like, he wants people to stop talking about that. So there's that. Now, the thing is that Cassie is supposed to get on the stand today. Oh, wait, hold on. I think I might have found it for y'all so y'all can hear firsthand. It's also that Wale is so small. He's so small that it's like, oh my God, why would y'all dangle that man from a balcony? Hold on. It's like the imagery of his little ass being hung over a balcony. It just seems crazy. And then TMZ's childish because they made a video. Hold on. Let me see if I can play this for y'all.
Your name was brought up in something with the Diddy situation.
Why are you asking me about that stuff?
I was going to say, to clear it up, you weren't involved in it.
I never got in an altercation with that man.
Yeah.
I've never been in an altercation with nobody in the industry.
Yeah.
I've had close calls, but not him. But definitely, like, that, it was made up by somebody who was just trolling and it just went.
Yeah, I know you were, because when they throw people's names in it, when you have nothing to do with it, I know that's like...
That's a topic to go... You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Like, that's preposterous, man.
Preposterous. So, yeah, I wasn't too convinced either. I think that there's some truth to it, but I also think that Diddy's so scary that people are not trying to be involved. So if that did happen, he probably don't want to tell. And people don't want to testify. They're scared. One of the victims still has not come forward. Now, the other thing is, the last thing I'll say is that Cassie is there now. She's about to testify. she is very pregnant. Like they're saying that she's due on the first in the first like the beginning of next month. And so that's going to be crazy for them to be cross-examining this really pregnant lady and yelling at her and because you know how that goes and telling her, and probably going to be, she's very emotional, you're pregnant, your hormones are running, and you're asking her to recount really traumatic situations, which to me is like, I know you can't push back the trial until somebody gives birth, but I feel like it yes, from an optics standpoint, it makes Diddy look bad now that this pregnant lady is testifying. But I also think for her health and for her baby's health, that's a dangerous game to play, to have her on a stand in a situation like this, having to relive these moments, especially when people are saying these really horrible, heinous things about you. And I also don't think that people are going to take into account that she was really a child when this was all playing out. She was a child. Like, we're talking about a 19-year-old. You know what I'm saying? At the time, and she's now 9 months pregnant. Like, it's a dangerous game, but she's slated to testify today. But they're also now saying that Diddy's legal team is requesting that Cassie's husband be barred from the courtroom during her testimony. Now, I don't know why they want to do that, but that wasn't explained. But they're now asking for him to be barred from the courtroom, so they don't want her husband to be allowed in the courtroom while she's testifying. But I don't know. The other thing is that the prosecutors want the freak off videos played in the courtroom. Now, from what I was seeing, the judge was leaning towards saying that the freak off videos should be allowed to be seen by the public. And I hope that they are, because I'm sure that there are people in there that we want to know about, or it will be like probably very telling. But the prosecution is asking to play the freak off videos in the courtroom. And from what I understand, the judge was leaning towards allowing it. So we'll see, because if they play those videos in the courtroom, and I think it also will help. I think the reason that they're trying to do that is to help paint the picture that this wasn't really optional. Like this wasn't a thing that she wanted to participate in, and it's probably going to show a lot of people doing a lot of drugs and how he coerced people who were under the influence of many drugs to do many things, and probably how a lot of and I think there's a level of humiliation that's happening here that they're also trying to paint a picture of, because what it seems like is that Diddy also enjoyed humiliating her as a part of his acts. Now, she is on the stand, Cassie is on the stand now, but what I also will say is, the reality of it is, if there was a humiliation kink, if he was, violent, blah, blah, but again, this is just the beginning of the trial. So you have to remember that they're just talking about things that are the surface level. But none of these things are technically enough for him to get a guilty verdict based on the charges that come against him. So I think right now what they're trying to do is build a story. They want us to understand who Diddy was, what Diddy was doing, how Cassie was involved in this. They want us to understand how extreme it was. And I have a feeling that they're going to come out with guns a-blazing later in the trial. Like, everybody's talking about Cassie being like the biggest. I think everyone thinks Cassie's the secret weapon, but I actually think Cassie's not the secret weapon. I think Cassie is the person that they are making like an example out of, because we saw it on video. Like, there's a public video of what he did to her, and it was really bad. It was really messed up, and it was really just a lot. And so I think that that's what they're doing now. But I do think that they're coming out with some big guns. Like, this is not the biggest part. Like, everybody's looking at this like the big kaboom. To be honest, the urination, all that other stuff is not really that shocking to me. I think there's more coming, but they need to start off by painting Diddy to be the bad person that he is. And to be honest, I don't think that's really hard to do, but I think what Diddy's team is going to go with is that there's a lot of reasonable doubt, and these stories are not consistent, and that she participated in it willingly, and that he's a violent person. Yes, he's a bad man, but he's not guilty of sex trafficking and racketeering, and that's going to be the problem. So there's that. Now, I don't know if his kids are there today. I didn't see anything about them walking in the courtroom. I believe that his kids are going to be there every day. And I believe that they're going to be there every day because they want to make him look human. They are there today. They're seen walking into the courtroom today. Now, to me personally, I don't think them kids have a choice. I don't think his family has a choice. I think Diddy is very, if he's this controlling, y'all have to remember, you're talking about a man we're hearing about how controlling he is. Those people are dependent on him. Their livelihood is coming from him. If they don't go to that courthouse every single day and look alive and smile and do whatever, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's traumatizing, even if their mother is not alive anymore because of it, he is going to hold it against them. He's not a good person. I think at the very least, we can all say that he's not a good person. So, and other than anything else, at the very least, he's not a good person. But they are all there. All of his kids are there. And they said that the two girls walked out of the courtroom yesterday when they started talking about the urination with the male escort and stuff. For whatever reason, they walked out of the room. So, there's that. So that's the Diddy trial so far. Y'all make sure y'all following my YouTube channel and y'all following me on here and on Instagram. Just go through the link in my bio and click on all the socials because I'm going to keep covering it every day as things come out. And we got a long trial ahead of us because it's supposed to be like 9 weeks. But you know what I'm saying? Make sure you follow because we're going to keep talking about this. And it's going to get crazier. This is just the beginning. And I'm sure that all of his kids know exactly what happened to Cassie and have seen what has happened to Cassie, the same way that I'm sure that all of them have seen what has happened to Kim. And again, people fail. In the same way, I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole about this, but in the same way that a lot of people failed Aaliyah and all of those young women with R. Kelly that were around when R. Kelly was doing what he was doing, the same way that the women who had to be endured the abuse by Bill Cosby, like people failed them. I feel like many people saw what was happening around them to Cassie, to Kim Porter, and no one did anything about it. They're telling all the stories now because they're getting paid to sit in front of a camera and do something or say something. But from what I understand, the abuse with Kim Porter has been going on for so long, and it was such a common thing that people were used to seeing her nose broken and her beaten and bruised, and nobody did or said anything. So like, respectfully, it's like now y'all all want to sit in front of a camera, and yes, it's important for y'all to share that now, but y'all all failed her. Y'all all failed her. You all failed her. You all failed both of these women, and that's that on that. But we'll continue with the Diddy trial as it happens. To the person who said we are here to talk about Tory Lanez. Let me sit up with this one. Tory Lanez. So yesterday, if you haven't already heard, Tory Lanez was harmed in jail. He was poked up in jail yesterday. Now they're saying that he was poked 14 times, 7 wounds in his back, 4 in his torso, 2 in the back of his head, and 1 on the left side of his face. Now listen, I'm not going to say I don't wish harm on nobody. I don't, because I don't want that kind of karma. You understand what I'm saying? But I did see a video where somebody said, and this is just me. I'm just repeating back the video where somebody said, I may have reposted it, where somebody said Tory Lanez wasn't stabbed. He was in the area where a stabbing happened, and a piece of the knife fell off and cut his foot, and he was bleeding, but he wasn't really stabbed. The same way that they said that Megan Thee Stallion wasn't really shot. I don't know. I don't make the rules. I'm not here. I'm just repeating back what I heard in the video. You understand what I'm saying? I'm just repeating back what I heard in the video because I don't want nobody to say that it was me. I'm not wishing no bad on nobody. Now, if you asking me if I feel bad, you put this woman through hell. And then the other thing that really does me in is that there are people who are trying to say that this is Megan Thee Stallion's fault. Somebody in the comment section yesterday was saying that they hope that Megan Thee Stallion gets no peace. First of all, Megan Thee Stallion is living in peace right now in her few $1 million mansion. Okay? She owns all of the masters to her music. Okay? She's somewhere with Beyonce and Jay-Z hanging out. Okay? She knows Blue Ivy. She's got it better than all of us. She's relaxing. But what I also want to say is blaming her for something, two things. One is that I can't say this enough. She did not put that man in jail. Megan Thee Stallion did not press charges against Tory Lanez. In fact, she lied to the police for Tory Lanez. Tory Lanez put Tory Lanez in jail. She was a witness. She took the stand as a witness in the trial. She did not press charges. She never did. This was the state of California against Tory Dayroom, whatever his name is. It was never an issue of Megan Thee Stallion versus Tory Lanez. And so the fact that everyone is up in arms saying that this is her fault and an innocent man went to jail, even if he were innocent, which by the way, he's not. We all know that. Even if he were innocent, she didn't put him in jail. She didn't press charges. She's not the judge. She wasn't the jury. He put himself in jail. The reality of it is that the larger part of the issue was that he was around a firearm while he was on parole. Why are you in the vicinity? If I'm on parole and I know I'm on papers and I don't want to go back to the slammer, you couldn't pay me to be around a weapon, much less to be holding a weapon. You already on parole. You did this to yourself. She didn't press charges against him. She lied to the police when they got there. She came out and said, I didn't want this black man to get unalive. What happened with George Floyd had just happened. I didn't want to see it. We was all scared, blah, blah, blah. She didn't even press charges. He then got on his little TV show or his little live and started talking all this crazy stuff to the point where she had to come out and say something. And this is all, and then the state of California decided to press charges and found him guilty. So let's start there. She's not the reason that he's in jail. She is not the reason he's in jail. Even if she were the reason he was in jail, y'all are acting like she hired somebody to do something to this man. Like, I don't even know why she is being brought up in a conversation about somebody being poked up in jail. Like, why are we talking about Megan Thee Stallion? She's living her best life, chilling somewhere, minding her business. She's done nothing. She actually tried to save the Lucky Charms leprechaun. And people are still mad at her because he got poked up in jail? Y'all have to be serious. I wish y'all would just say that y'all have so much hate for this black woman that y'all will find any way to try to blame her for what has happened to this man. She ain't in jail. She didn't poke him up. The other thing is, people need to be themselves. Okay? This Daystar, whatever his Dayroom, whatever his name is, he be out here acting like he's like that. So I'm sure he in jail with his 2-foot self acting like he's like that. And I'm sure that's why he's in the situation that he's in. Sir, you're 5 foot nothing. Act like it. Somebody said, why is he in general population? Because he's general population. Okay, he had 2 minutes of fame. He didn't really go up like that. It didn't really go up for him like that. And so if you know you general population, you shouldn't be walking around busting off rounds at people talking about dance. Because that's where you're going with Gen Pop. And that's where he was before that. Y'all remember this, he was on parole. Okay. Because he was in general population before that. So they sent him back to where he came from, Gen Pop. Okay? Let's keep it a stack. Let's not, I don't want us to deviate from the truth. And listen, If y'all hate Megan Thee Stallion, y'all gonna hate her because that at the end of the day, the hate is misplaced. It has always been misplaced. This whole trial, from the start to the end, when the incident happened, people have been misplacing hate on her. She's continued to be harassed. I feel like she handled it gracefully, because if it was me, I would have slandered everybody involved, okay? He's in Gen Pop because he is Gen Pop. That's what happened, okay? And he's in the slammer getting poked up because he acting like somebody he's not. And honestly, I personally think he suffers from little man syndrome. And I think that's why he had a weapon in the first place with Megan Thee Stallion, because he knew he would have got his behind beat. He wasn't trying to he wasn't trying to throw hands with her. That's my theory on it. My theory is that he pulled out that thing because he knew that if she got the slap boxing with him, she was going to knock him out of his size 5 women's shoes. Okay? That's my personal opinion. And when people have little man syndrome, that tends to follow them throughout their life. And I personally believe he was in that jail trying to be tough. And somebody showed him what tough is. I have no empathy for that. Like, I have no empathy for that. Okay? And he pulled out that thing because he knew he was finna get knocked out of them size 5 shoes and women's. Okay? That's all I'm saying. So, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You're in jail because you made a bad decision. At some point, and listen, I'm a black man. I love black men. Truly, I love black men. Those are my people. I ride for black men, all of that. But we also have to be accountable. And I'm saying we because I'm a black man. We also have to be accountable. We have to stop giving black men a pass or blaming somebody else for the bullshit that's happening to black men in this world. I hate to say it, but we can't hide behind everything in society for the rest of our lives. Yes, people are targeting us. Yes, they play in target practice with us, with the police officers. All of those things are true. But it's also true that black men we've caused a lot of harm. And we have to be accountable for it. It can't be a world in which you continue to blame other people for the shit we're doing. At a point, it's us. It is us. It's us. You put yourself in jail. You made stupid decisions. You know you on parole. You know you're not supposed to be around no weapon. You know you didn't need to shoot at this lady. You know you didn't need to let one off in the air. You decided to do all of those things, and now we're upset at Megan that he's in jail? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I don't want no beef. I just want us to be honest. I want us to tell the truth about what's going on here, because we have a tendency to try to misplace blame. And whether or not, no matter how you flip it, spin it, jump it, kick it, whatever it is, y'all can't blame Megan Thee Stallion. And this is the reason why people are fighting so hard to blame her. Y'all can't blame Megan Thee Stallion for why he's in jail. And people saying, oh, because she got on the stand and lied. Even if she didn't get on the stand and lie, he still wasn't supposed to be around a firearm. He wasn't. So it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. He put himself in jail, because if you're on parole, you don't put yourself in those situations to even have to explain nothing like that. And again, you cannot convince me that anybody that's on parole and knowing that they're going to go to jail would see somebody else do the thing that they're being accused of doing and not get on the stand and testify and say that it wasn't them and that it was somebody else. Remember, he was given the opportunity to testify. He chose not to. And if it was Kelsey, he would have got on the stand and said it was Kelsey. I just want to put that out there. You were given the option. If it was Kelsey, he would have got on the stand and said it was Kelsey and gave the evidence of it being Kelsey. There's nobody who's going to send themselves away to jail for 10 years trying to protect somebody who married, got a kid. What is he protecting Kelsey for? He would have got on the stand and said it was her, Your Honor. It was her. They was fighting. This happened. It was her. But y'all don't want to. Y'all don't want to believe women. Y'all want men to walk away free. And I believe it's because other men want to perpetuate this behavior And they can't believe that men are currently being held accountable in this current society for the things that they're doing. This is why people are still also saying that they don't think Diddy should go to jail and free Diddy, because they don't want men to be accountable. Because there's no way that you watch that video on CNN, national news, saw what he did to Cassie, and think that he should do anything besides go to jail for the rest of his life. That's insane. That's insane. I watched that video and I wanted to cry. But yeah, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Thank y'all for coming to Morning Coffee. I gotta go. I'll be back on tomorrow. Make sure y'all are following on YouTube. If you ever missed the Morning Coffee, it is on YouTube. I will be posting it on YouTube so that y'all can see any part that you missed. Or if you're not able to join because you have work, tell a friend to tell a friend. And yeah, I love y'all.